Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel, and we continue our foray into WCW 1990, which has been fun because I didn't watch this stuff originally when I was a younger person. So, just fun for me to go back and watch portions of things I haven't seen before, taking a deeper dive into the WCW from, let's say, 80 7 through 90 is something I'm actually excited to do because I again haven't watched all of that all the way through. Anyway, the Juicer and Jeff Stone here kicks things off. Juicer comes out with a bunch of kids. Juicer is pretty serious about his run in WCW, although it's cut short because of his illegal problems from his time in Portland. Um, 3 minutes 49 seconds. Juicer spends the majority of time working over the arm of his adversary, and it's pretty simple. Tightens up on the arm, simple as it were, and a couple of Irish whips, big hair snapback, and the top rope Thez press 1, 2, 3, and Juicer in control. And Juicer obviously doesn't go too far because of his run in with the law in the Portland area, but that's where it goes. They show a replay and a promo where the Nasty Boys basically say they're going to take the Steiners out once and for all. Then we go to a Nasty Boys squash match, and they also show, before the promo, they did show a modified version of um, the attack by the Nasty Boys during the contract signing. Joe Barrett and Keith Hart, 351, Sags pinning Hart, following a running power slam, elbow smash off the top rope, double team maneuver, and ultimately that leads to be, I guess you'd say, enough for the Nasty Boys to get the victory. Again, Nasty's doing a bunch of brawling. Nasty's pretty simple, pretty basic, and they don't need to be doing more than that, but it's there, and needless to say, they get what they want. Then we go to kind of a review, including the WCW wrap-up with Gordon Solie. Solie shows the attack from Sid previous weeks, laying Sting out, and basically sets up the Sting versus Sid Vicious world title match at the Halloween Havoc pay-per-view. Sid really did get pushed quite hard in his 1990 run. Then we see a promo from Doom. Doom talking about taking out Flair and Anderson at the pay-per-view, getting rid of the Horsemen, showing brawling from a previous week's Worldwide between those two gentlemen. And then we go to another in the series of squash matches. This time, the Z-Man Tom Zink is in a squash. Obviously, Zink, a guy that they continually push, mainly because I think he has a marketable visual look, but not necessarily because he's great in the ring. Bill Ford, his opponent, 2 minutes, 42 seconds here, and hits a crossbody off the top rope after several arm drags, drop kicks, and the like. Zink had so much, I think, potential based on how hard they're pushing him, but it's not, something that they were really serious and committed to doing in fullness. Moondog Rex defeating Tommy Rich after hitting Rich with the bone. Prior to the bout, it's announced that Rex would challenge U.S. champion Lex Luger the following night on the main event. During the contest, it's also mentioned that Rex was ranked at number 8 in the NWA, even though it wasn't mentioned during the weekly top 10 earlier in the show, so they're obviously doing voiceovers that don't even line up with the media they're putting out there. The match itself is relatively basic. I don't know that 100% or even close to it, the fans are behind, Moondog Rex getting as much of a push as he did here, but they were trying to get him ready for some sort of bigger thing in 1990. Also, we see the Black Scorpion basically saying he's going to allow Sting to be left alone up until the after Halloween Havoc, but he'll be at Havoc and making an impact. The match between, as mentioned, Moondog Rex and Tommy Rich, in a lot of ways, in kind of a slow-mo feel. Rex, though, does hit him with the bone. More of a brawl than a wrestling match. Tommy Rich trying to fight up from underneath, but Tommy Rich, by this point, certainly not a guy that a lot of people are super into. And again, Moondog Rex gets the relatively quick victory here. Then we move to the next in series of matches, which is Terry Taylor. Terry Taylor coming in off his WWF run right around this time. I think his last match is like August, September in the WWF of 1990, maybe earlier, maybe a little earlier than that, but not terribly much. Anyway, so there's a run there, and we continue to go forward in that benefit for Terry Taylor. Taylor, of course, getting a victory here. Terry Taylor in this particular edition defeating, let's see here, Terry Taylor defeating Chuck Coates, 5-arm, 312 during the bout. Taylor, parents are shown in attendance as mentioned during the match. And Taylor would face Dr. X at Halloween Havoc. Moments later, Bob Caudle reads the weekly top 10, which is different from the version announced earlier in the show and includes JW Storm and Moondog Rex. So apparently they edited this in a weird sort of way. Anyway, Terry Taylor, gets a good bit of on the mat wrestling there and keeps things going. JW Storm defeats John Peterson 214 with a modified chokeslam. After the bout, Storm knocks his opponent out with a punch. JW Storm basically doing kind of a bully sort of gimmick, I guess you'd say. Storm, lots of clotheslines, punches, kicks, basic maneuvers, modified chokeslam, almost not really lifting him all the way, but it's there. Then we see U.S. Tag Team Champions Rick and Scott Steiner defeating Bobby Eaton, Stan Lane with Jim Cornette, 14:01. Rick pinning Eaton after Scott hits the Steiner line. Eaton attempts to drop Rick with a pile driver. This is probably one of the better matches during the run here. Better in the sense of they give them a really good TV match, 14 minutes for the time, pretty big match, right? For the time, pretty insistent there, and again, kind of getting things going in a positive direction. The Steiners also setting up for the Nasty Boys at the Halloween Havoc pay-per-view, which is a pretty good run there for them. And again, Jim Cornette, as always, adding a good bit to the match on the outside. Eaton and Lane worth checking out. Eaton and Lane certainly probably the best tag team of all time. Very few debates there. The Steiners take over early. Steiners get in control. Cut off by Stan Lane with a modified neckbreaker and a couple of punches and kicks. Eaton comes in and sends Rick Steiner out to the floor. Rick Steiner, certainly a guy that at the time, more the power than the Flash, but then we see a double down between the Steiners and Eaton and Scott Steiner for a while. Big tag back to Rick. Back and forth match, actually a match worth going out of your way to see if you've never seen it before, or even if you have, returning to. Midnight Express and Steiners is good for a while. The U.S. Tag Team Championships also doing a pretty good run. There's hype for Halloween Havoc in the middle here. I think they run the match through a commercial break, which I've never been a fan of doing that. I don't think it's good television to do that, even if it means matches are shorter, or you just space your commercial breaks out in clumps. Maybe it hurts ratings, but a more cohesive show is my preference. Anyway, Steiners get a victory there. Nasty Boys again, basically saying what's the big deal about the Steiners and kind of continuing that forward. Needless to say, Tim Horner coming up with a enhancement match here. Although there also is a little bit of a return Tim Horner. Horner, getting some very basic runs here in the sense of, arm bars, snapmares, chin locks, and the like. Nothing super athletic from Horner, but at the same time, flips his man over, gets him in a good position here and there wherever he can. But there is a certain level of intensity to Horner that hasn't been there before, maybe would be the best way to say it, and we kind of get in a good way here. Horner, goes through just about, get some ride time and other basic wrestling deal here, and getting a pretty good attempted victory there. Then we go to the um, Wild-Eyed Southern or actually Death Row and Hussein Farouk, facing off against the Wild-Eyed Southern Boys at the time. Of course, that's Steve Armstrong, Tracy Smothers. Decent enough match. Death Row and Farouk are relatively large for the enhancement talent run of things. Also, the Lex Luger promised that he's going to defeat Stan Hansen defend the U.S. Championship at the time. Highlight and Sid Vicious also promising on the Danger Zone that he is going to be victorious over Sting, and basically he's the master and ruler of the world. No one needs to worry about him. They do those insets in the middle of the Southern Boys match, which I'm not a fan of. That match, lots of double teams by the Southern Boys. They still manage to get a continual run there. Also, highlights of Stan Hansen choking out Lex Luger from prior before, and basically with the cowbell, Hansen basically put in a position of looking like a major star at the time. Then we go to Robert Gibson of the Rock and Roll Express in a singles match. I believe this might be the addition, or no, tag match with Ricky and Robert against a couple of enhancement talents, but I believe this may be right close to the match where Gibson blows out his knee, Irish whips, and other basic maneuvers by Ricky Morton. Morton comes out of the corner with a hard clothesline and continues to be in decent control. A lot of people forget that the Rock and Roll Express is still around in that particular run of time. Lot of near falls, including small packages and other pinning combinations by the Rock and Roll Express at the time. Then we see Ric Flair and Arn Anderson promising to defeat Doom at the pay-per-view a couple of weeks before Halloween Havoc, 2 weeks actually before Halloween Havoc, and Flair basically says Doom is underestimating the Horsemen. That's never a good idea. And then we go to the Renegade Warriors in a enhancement match here. Nothing to write home about. Renegade Warriors do end up getting into it with the Freebirds in the weeks to come. Go behinds with hammerlocks and the like. Lots of double teams and a double chop by the Renegade Warriors. Renegade Warriors do get a pretty quick victory off of that. And then we will move forward into the next in the series. We'll be back with more right after this.